So Ewan's taken me to Clevedon, but again, I didn't know we needed another one, but I guess all coastal towns kind of look like this. Arguably a very kind of apt day to be somewhere of a second coming, because, you know, Easter Sunday and that. So, you know, it won't surprise you to know that, you know, this is one of the most important days of the year for me, because I don't have to go to work, and that's kind of the only value it has, really. It's quite nice though. It's lovely. Everybody's out. Nobody's got stuff they need to do. Nobody can do anything because everything's shut. Unlike this island over here, which you can't see, which is sometimes shut apparently because the tide comes in and you're just stuck out there, which is very kind of Pirate Cove-esque, which I quite enjoy. There appears to be another one over there, which if you had put a gun to my head and said, what is that? I would have said it was Barry Island, but I've found out that since that it's not, because Barry Island isn't an island, which upsets me, and I'm going to assume that that was a kind of Greenland, Iceland kind of joke that just kind of went too far. I've just seen a Dachshund walking down steps, which is one of life's great pleasures, because they have small legs and it's quite cute. So, yeah, this is lovely actually. It's the right level of not windy. To just kind of have a nice sense of sea air to it. Although, you know, without trying to sound too upset about the whole thing, I've already had my run-in with Ewan repeating somebody else's joke, which, you know, that does happen from time to time. That's okay, you know, you can't fault him for it really. It wasn't a good joke the first time, so at least he's kind of continuing the delivery. So this repeated joke goes all the way back to 2023. We were going to All Points East in London to see the Strokes and Amyl and the Sniffers and Black Midi, who were late and then broke up, and makes sense because they clearly didn't want to be there. But to be fair, the Strokes were late as well. The sound wasn't very good. It was still a fantastic kind of day. But we were on our way there. We stopped at a Greggs and a service station. There was a man and his son kind of ordering ahead of us. And as a lot of people tend to do, I felt the need to tell Bill to fuck off. Whilst in the Greggs, I can't remember what he said. I'm sure it was valid. He told me off quite intently for swearing in front of this child. But obviously, you know, this came with a kind of level of disdain for me swearing in front of a child that I didn't really expect from him. But I guess it makes sense because he does have younger siblings. It's just not really something I've ever thought about because I don't have younger siblings. So I'm not ever around kids, so I just don't really think about it. And he got very annoyed at me, and I was like, fair enough. So I kind of walked off like a bit of a kicked puppy, so to speak, and he kind of continued to order. But the thing about Bill is his dad has Greggs coupons, which sounds like an insult, but it is just a fact. You know, it's not like your dad has a loyalty card to Zaman Barbers like Tom Zicking. Probably shouldn't have name dropped him. That's probably going to come back to bite me, but that's fine. His dad's bald, by the way, which is why that's funny. So is Bill, actually. So maybe all bald people have gift cards. Maybe, I don't know. Anyway, Bill's dad has a gift card that he's given Bill to use in this Greggs. And so the man at the counter offers him a free turnover of some description, probably in cheese and onion. Because Bill then looks at me, looks at the kid, looks at the dad, and goes, you know what, yeah, fuck it, I'll have that one. He was very proud of himself for that. And I would have been annoyed had it not been genuinely quite funny. It wasn't genuinely that funny when Ewan repeated the joke 3 times in the pub 20 minutes ago, 2 years after it first happened. What I'm hoping he doesn't then do is repeat another one of Bill's greatest comedic achievements. We're in Devon, and 2 hours previous to this, Bill had vomited over his shoes after drinking too much wine on a beach, not dissimilar to this one, which again, you can't see. I'm just really setting the scene for you. And he's in the car, and I'm driving, and next to me is Jazz, and then behind her is Bill. Behind me is Jazz's friend Lily. If you want any more information, you can't have it. And my car starts tipping to the left, which it kind of tends to do because it's got a manufacturing thing where it will lean left. If I take my hands off the steering wheel, it leans left, apparently to stop you from going into oncoming traffic, but you just end up going into a pedestrianised area, so the danger is just as fraught, really. Regardless, it starts tipping left, and I'm kind of used to it, so I just kind of correct as I'm driving, and then it really starts tipping left, and I'm going, it's a bit weird. And, you know, Jazz and Lily are kind of starting to really pick up in terms of kind of screaming, which, you know, isn't normal. So I have a look, and Bill is slinking his way from one window at the back. Both the windows are open, into the window on the left that Jazz is sat in, and going face first into the kind of driver's side, and then manages to kind of slither, for lack of a better term, his way back up to sitting in the back seat. And this all happens in under a minute. I can't imagine what possessed him to do it. We were driving about 50 miles an hour down a country lane with quite heavy bends in it, and he just decided to reposition himself mid-drive, which is, you know, I think really sums him up. Because I can't imagine what made him think to do that. I can't imagine what made him think that that wouldn't be horrendously risky in the matchbox of a car that we were in. But he did it anyway, and it worked out fine, as it often tends to do for him. So I think that really does say all that needs to be said on that particular endeavour. But I'm hoping Ewan doesn't try that on the way home, purely because that would then lead to him sat in the back seat for the beginning of the journey, which makes me feel a bit like an Uber driver. I don't really fashion myself as a taxi driver. I think I'd be quite a good one, because I often find that taxi drivers are the worst drivers, probably because of the fact that they get bored of driving. And I also get bored of driving, but they seem to get bored of driving in a way that does tend to lead to them not really understanding how speed limits and or turnings work. You know, I always enjoy just watching a taxi driver clearly not even remotely give a shit. Especially with the amount of them that end up looking like Rick Rubin in Bristol. It's always entertaining to see kind of edgy Santa Claus driving a taxi, trying his very best to get pulled over. No taxis here though, no roads here. All roads lead to Barry Island, as the famous saying goes. I don't think we're on Barry Island, but this is it's an interesting place. It's a little bit of a kind of desolate wasteland area, but quite pretty in its own way. Very much a kind of testament to erosion. Shout out to erosion. One of my favourite ways to form rock. That, and I don't know any other way of forming rock, really. I think erosion really takes the cake. But yeah, it's pretty. I hasten to think that potentially the fishermen over there don't really understand the danger of how secluded this place becomes from any kind of dry land once the tide comes in. But I only know that because Ewan told me. So realistically, I'm as careless as they are, really. And I'm assuming that if you want fish, water is a good place to go. As bringing this back to, you know, the day at hand, teach a man to fish, and he'll eat forever. Whereas if you give a man a fish, he'll eat then. But then I don't really understand why they couldn't just keep giving him fish. They had enough. Water into wine. I don't know what you turn fish into. Fish would probably turn into like cheese and crackers, wouldn't they? If we're carrying on that metaphor. You know. Yeah, that's interesting. Might do some research into that later.